All right, chapter 7 and 8 are very short. Now, I don't know about you, but before I read a new chapter, I like to kind of take a peek at what was going on before just so I can remember. And if I've slept, I often forget. So, the last chapter, at the end of chapter 6, um, Janie's mom says, "Don't worry about it. We can still get your clothes today. We'll be fine." But she didn't sound fine, and I didn't feel fine. So remember, her mom didn't want to work for the wages that she would have to compete with the cheap labor that they were going to be able to get from Mexico. All right, chapter 7. Mama didn't say anything for a long time after that. I stared out the window at the cars and trucks and SUVs driving around us. Most of them were nicer than our truck, newer, bigger, shinier. I thought about what Daddy had said about money not being everything, and it seemed like he had been lying. Money was the difference between Satterwaite and Clyde's schools. Money was the difference between Kimberly's nice clothes and my old worn out ones. Money was the difference between John Hodgkins getting to play soccer and me have nothing but school. Mama turned in at Walmart. "Here we are," she said in a fakey bright voice. What'll it be first? Girls' coats? We found a rack of pink and purple and blue and orange coats. They mostly looked plastic. Princesses did not wear these coats. "Which one do you like the best?" Mama asked. We are still trying to sound cheerful. "You can choose whatever you want." But I saw her turning over the price tags, glancing quickly when she thought I wasn't looking. I watched her fingers flashing through the coats as gracefully as they flashed through yarn. Through yarn. Suddenly, I couldn't even see the coats. All I could see was Mama's hands. I remembered how she had knitted and knitted and knitted early in the morning and late at night, on the bus and at home, every second she could for a solid year, just for me, because she loved me. I thought maybe Daddy was right after all, and some things did matter money more than money. And then I knew what I had to do. "Mama," I started. I cleared my throat. "Mama, I don't need any new clothes." Mama stopped in the middle of filling a purple coat's lining. "What?" she said. "Of course you do." She looked at me carefully. "This is because of Mr. Creston, isn't it?" Really, honey, you don't have to worry about that. It's not your problem. Let's forget that nasty man and just enjoy picking out everything you need." Her voice was wobbly, like my knees. "No," I made myself say. Then my legs were steady again. This was important. I took one last look at the brightly colored coats in front of me and backed away. "Janie, what are you talking about?" Mama said. "You wear that old coat of yours one more day and it's liable to fall apart. And you don't have a single long sleeve top that isn't a complete disgrace. I feel like a negligent mother already, letting you go this long without new winter clothes." I told Mama my plan. I wasn't sure what to be more scared of, that she wouldn't agree or that she would. She agreed. And that's when I knew how bad off we really were. I thought calling Kimberly would be the hardest thing in the world. "Do you still have that old coat you said I could have?" I said as fast as I could to get it over with. But then I had to say it all over again because Kimberly hadn't understood a single word. And then I couldn't just go get the coat. Kimberly had to talk to her mom, and her mom had to talk to Mama, and I heard Mama say, "We had a financial setback recently." "No, no, we're fine otherwise." That's the kind of that's very kind of you, but it isn't necessary." The whole time she looked sick to her stomach, and then it was decided that I would go over to Kimberly's house and play for a while when I got the coat. Kimberly's house was big. She had a playroom the size of our entire apartment. I didn't have any fun. The coat itself was red, and it looked just as new as anything at Walmart. I wondered if Kimberly had worn it more than once. I hope not. I hope that no one at Satterthwaite but me and Kimberly would know that my new coat used to belong to her. I knew somebody would. Probably everybody would. So getting the coat was hard. But it was even harder Monday morning when I got up and put on a sweater with somebody else's name on it. I picked out the prettiest one of all. It was a soft, snowy white with ivy leaves on the front and the back and winding along the cuffs. But right smack dab in the front, where everyone was bound to see, the sweater said, Alexandria. I didn't glance in the mirror after I pulled the sweater over my head. I put on my old jeans with it, and then I went straight out to breakfast. Mama looked hard at me when I sat down at the table. Oh, Janie, you don't have to do this, she said. We can buy you some new clothes. I'm going to be working a lot of overtime this week to make up for, but as soon as I can, I'll take the names off of some of those sweaters. And you can see this picture here. I'm pulling out one of the sweaters. I'll take names off some of those sweaters. Maybe put your name on instead so everyone knows it's yours. I didn't say anything. Mama mumbled. I should have done that yesterday, but I just couldn't. I wasn't sure she meant for me to hear that last part, but I remember that right before I'd walked into the living room and found Mama sitting on the couch holding one of the sweaters. She wasn't ripping out stitches. She wasn't knitting. She was just staring at the sweater and crying. Remembering that, I knew I was doing the right thing. This is what I want to wear today, I said. Now, please. I was afraid Mama was going to cry again. I didn't want to see that. I looked straight into my cereal bowl. Janie, Daddy said, but didn't go on. I poured the milk on my cereal. I brought spoonfuls of Cheerios up to my mouth. I drank my orange juice. I didn't look up, but I could feel Mama and Daddy having a conversation over my head without saying a single word. It was like their eyes were sending secret messages back and forth, and my ears could hear what they weren't saying. We can't let her do this, but she says she wants to. This is our fault, but what can we do? Finally, Daddy said, Janie, that sweater looks beautiful on you. And Mama said, but you look beautiful in everything you wear. Don't let anyone tell you different. I finished my breakfast and hugged my parents and put on Kimberly's old red coat. And then I went outside to wait for the bus. Chapter 8. I hope you're making some predictions. What do you think the kids are going to say when she shows up with that name on her sweater? Are they going to be nice? Are they going to be mean? I think she's used to people being pretty mean at her old school, but I don't know. Chapter 8. That's not your name, the girl beside me said as I was hanging up my coat. She was reading my sweater. I made sure Kimberly's old coat was balanced exactly on the hook, and then I turned around. I was going to explain, but it was such a long story. My mother made this sweater for me, not to wear, that is. She knows my name, what my name is, of course, but so that she could sell it and we could move and I could go to school here instead of Clyde, where everything's broken and the teachers don't care and the kids beat you up if you don't watch out. But then Mr. Creston was mean and he said he couldn't sell this, and so he returned it. And I knew we didn't have lots of extra money to buy new clothes. And then I decided Mama's sweater would be my new clothes because she loves me. Because, okay, it was a really long story, and it probably wouldn't make sense to anybody but me. It didn't even make sense to Mama and Daddy. The girl, Courtney, was still waiting for an answer. Maybe Alexandria is my middle name, I said. Janie Alexandria Sams, the girl said. That's pretty. I wish my middle name was Alexandria. She smiled at me. I smiled at her. I sat down feeling better than I felt since Saturday. In the middle of handing back our spelling test, Mrs. Burton stopped by my desk. That's a beautiful sweater, she said. I love the ivy. What does it say? I straightened up so she could see Alexandria. Alexandria, she asked, puzzled. It's her middle name, Kimberly volunteered from the next seat over. Had she been listening to what I told Courtney? I gave Kimberly a nasty look and turned my head back to Mrs. Burton. Ah, Mrs. Burton said. She still looked a little puzzled. Did someone knit that for you? My Mama, I said proudly. I wish I could knit like that, Mrs. Burton said. No, I wish my mother could. It must be wonderful to have someone who could knit sweaters like that for you. She put my spelling test on my desk. I got 100 and a great job sticker. Some of the butterflies in my stomach stopped flying around. Mrs. Burton leaned over and whispered in my ear, but my middle name is Gertrude, so I would never want to advertise that. She gave me a little wink like we shared a secret now. Poor Mrs. Burton. Gertrude? By the end of the day, I said it's my middle name about 50 times. Nobody had recognized Kimberly's old coat, and I had mostly managed to avoid her so she wouldn't say anything about it. I was feeling pretty good, but it was only Monday. Yeah. I hope, well, I just think that everybody, I don't think there's a single person alive that can't remember somebody teasing them about something. And I hope before you tease somebody about something that you think about, their circumstances and maybe what has caused them to be in that particular circumstance. And maybe there's a story behind it that you don't even know. So just remember, let's always be kind. I hope you're enjoying this book. Just a few more chapters to go.